What is going on, legends? It is Mark here. I'm going to be talking about the spiritual side of money. And like most things that I talk about on this lovely channel, this is one of those things that I don't see a lot of people really hammering home about. And it's kind of unfortunate because here's the thing. Everybody thinks that the reason that they're not successful, the reason that they haven't made any money yet, the reason that this, and that, they blame everything on the practical. They say they didn't use the right Facebook ad strategy. They say they didn't use the right product. They didn't test the right product. They didn't have the right store setup in their e-commerce business. Whatever it is, like, this applies to life. Everybody thinks that the real problem is something tactical, when in reality, it's typically not. It's something spiritual. It's something that you can't hold in your hands. It's something that is more conceptual and theoretical. And those are typically the things that have the massive impact on your life. And I want to dive deep into the spiritual side of money and success. And part of the reason of me making this video is because I wish somebody could condense this much information when I was initially starting out on my journey. What I'm about to tell you guys here is everything that I've learned from paying some of the top mindset and spiritual mentors in the world. I've paid a stupid amount of money to some of the best marketers, to some of the best copywriters. One of my recent investments earlier this year, invested in myself, of course, was investing in one of the top teachers for NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. And she taught me all these super interesting metaphysical principles that actually guide your life. The first thing that I kind of want to show you guys in this particular video is going to be my story. Long story short, how I got into this whole space, into online business in general, was when I was in college. Here's the thing. When you start out in any new endeavor, whenever you're starting a new online business, you have this belief planted in your head. I don't know if it's from parents or family or my own delusional self-confidence. I don't know where it comes from. All I know is that it's not an empowering belief. And that is, you have this belief that you should try to do everything yourself. Be like, okay, I'm going to start this business. I know there's people out there that know more than me, but I'm a smart dude. I can figure it out. And that's the belief that I had initially when I was starting out. And what happened was, I opened my dropshipping store, failed. Test like 10 products, failed. Open another store, maybe test another 10 or 15 products, all failed. I opened a third store, another 10 products, failed. The only time when I actually became successful was when I lowered my goddamn ego to the floor and actually accepted help into my life that I could prove were legit. And so that's part of the reason for me making this video, not only show you that I'm legit, because I can talk about this with no outline for hours on end. That's how you know somebody is really understanding at a deep level the content that they're talking about. But in this video, I'm not gonna, be talking about me too much. I'm gonna be talking more so about the spiritual side of money and success, because as I began this video by saying that there's all these physical laws that's governing why we're not successful. But in reality, it's actually the metaphysical that has a significantly greater impact on all the success that you're going to have, okay? So there's going to be a lot of things in this video that are going to seem very woo-woo. They're going to seem very almost like fluffy, and just bear with me. I get it, okay? I absolutely get it. I just want you to stick with me until the end of this video, because this is the one video that you need to watch where your life will not be the same after you finish it and actually apply the principles. You could watch this whole video, fuck off, and you're not going to get any value out of it. The real people that are going to get the most value are they watch, they take notes, they actually apply, okay? So without further ado, let's get into one of the biggest myths that I see, especially young people, but people in general, what they have when it comes to attracting success and money into their life. And it's this idea that anytime that you want anything in life, right, you have to pay for it. There's always an exchange going on behind the scenes metaphysically. So if you want money, you have to exchange something for it. And the two things that you can exchange for it are going to be time and, you guessed it, money. So these are the two ways that you can pay for any skill that you really want to learn. And I believe, by the way, e-com to be a skill. I know there's a lot of subset skills that you could put under the e-com bucket, but I do believe that e-com in and of itself is a skill. So to get really good at e-com, you can pay in two ways. You can pay with time, or you can pay with money. If I wanted to go learn something completely new, something that I have never ever done in my entire life before, for example, let's say I want to go compete in a bodybuilding show. Am I just going to go to YouTube and search up how to compete in bodybuilding 101 and start watching influencer? Absolutely not. I'm going to do what I know to be better, which is I'm going to take my goddamn money. I'm going to go pay the best fucking bodybuilding coach in the space that is willing to take me on as a client. I don't care how much money it costs. I'm going to pay that dude, because what I'm exchanging money for is his time. So yes, I'm paying with my own money, but I'm exchanging the decades, literally decades of experience that this guy has in his arsenal and taking it for myself. I think that's one of the fastest and best way to level up in anything. But when we're just getting started, we have this delusional belief that time is a better way to pay for things. I'll just try it out myself. Let me just try to compete in my first bodybuilding show alone, no coach, no nothing, and let's just see how it goes. Maybe I'll win. You know, I'm a pretty fit dude. I'm pretty disciplined. I can probably figure it out. And what's gonna happen is I'm not gonna fucking win the show. I'm gonna waste a whole lot of time. And after all that, I didn't even get what I was after in the first place, which was to win. This applies to anything. I know I'm using the bodybuilding example because I have my fucking shirt off and it's pretty clear, but this goes for anything. This goes for starting a business. This goes for learning how to play the fucking piano. This goes for learning how to speak a new language, everything. We have this delusional belief that these two resources that I wrote on my screen are equal. The reality is they are absolutely, positively not equal. One of these is valued significantly higher for one specific reason. Time is a non-renewable resource, whereas money is a renewable resource, right? And you'll notice this to be true because the people that are very, very old in life, they have very, very little time and they typically have more money. So as you go on through your life, you have less and less time and typically more and more money. Now, that's not always the true. Like some people have very little time and very little money, but just generally speaking, you have more time to accumulate the money. So as time goes on, you typically have more money, but you're losing time. I challenge you, go to an old person's home and ask which is more valuable. It becomes very stupidly clear. However, when we're young, we don't believe this to be true. We think we have all the time in the world. This is a lie. We don't have all the time in the world. This is a fucking lie, guys. We do not have time. If you're under the age of 30 and you're watching this video right now, I'm fucking talking to you. You think that you have time. You think that because you're young, you can exchange time for money and say, hey, that's a good trade-off. I'm telling you right fucking now, that is not a good trade-off. That is a terrible trade-off. You do not have time. Number one, we're absolutely positively not guaranteed tomorrow, ever. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. There's so much shit happening in the world that tomorrow is definitely not guaranteed. So there's that side of the equation, but there's also the side that you don't want to be the type of person that pays with his time, even if you're young, because now is the time to fucking go hard in investing in yourself. Again, I'm speaking specifically to the people under the age of like 30, 35. As you go on through life, if you start like, you know, kind of right here, you reach, we'll just call it like relative adulthood. You're 18 years old, and this is, let's say, like average retirement age. You know, this is like 65, right? Not saying that you guys are going to retire because you're all going to be badass millionaire entrepreneurs. But when you're 18 years old, you have this perspective, you have this belief that you have all the time in the world. But in reality, that's not true. The truth is the time for you to actually invest in yourself, the best time, 100%, 100,000%, invest in yourself, invest in assets, invest in businesses is when you're young. The only and best time for you to take the most aggressive, insane, fuck you risks is when you're young. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. When you're young, what happens is you have the lowest amount of responsibility that you'll ever have in your entire life. As time goes on and you, year after year, get older and older, the amount of responsibility that you have as an individual increases. Because typically, right around here, you'll start a family. You'll start a family typically around the ages, like let's say an average of like 30, right? You decide to have your first child. That is an insane amount of responsibility that you just added to your plate. A child. Now, every single decision that you make, it doesn't just affect you. It affects you, affects your girl or your spouse, and it also affects your newborn child. Now, a lot of people think like, oh, I'm not gonna have a family until I'm a little bit older, dude. I'm 20 years old, man. I got fucking time. Well, let's talk about if you want to have, you know, a girlfriend, you want to be dating a girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever it is for you, for a little bit of time. Well, now you have more responsibility here. This is even younger. So you think that you have all this time, right? Look at all this time. I'm 18 years old. I'm 20 years old. I'm 24. I'm 29. I'm 32. I got all this time to fucking figure shit out. That's a lie. That is simply just not true. Because in reality, I know most people watching this probably want to start a family. I know most people watching this probably want to have a maybe monogamous relationship. I don't know, somebody in your life that you have a romantic relationship with that you consider your partner. With those things said, you don't have a lot of time. As soon as you have a partner, a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever it is for you, every decision that you make is affecting two people. It's not one. Every investment that you make is putting another person in risk. So being aggressive and aggressively investing in yourself, the best time to do it, honestly, is from the time that you're like 18 to 30 years old. This is the best time for you to actually invest, because you know what the biggest risk of all is? You know the thing that really keeps me up at night and scares the ever living shit out of me? It's saying that this is too risky when I'm, you know, let's say I'm like going back to when I'm 18 and I want to start a business, right? I say it's too risky. I say I don't have the money to invest in a mentor. I say I don't have the money to start a business. And you know what happens? Nothing. Nothing fucking happens. All the time continues to go by. My most valuable resource, time, is slipping through my fingers day after day, and I live a life of mediocrity because I can't grow the goddamn balls to take a risk and invest in myself or a business or anything that's going to develop me into the future. That's the biggest risk of all. That scares the fucking shit out of me, and it should scare the shit out of you too, because I know pretty fucking well, I know my audience, and I know you're watching this video for a reason. The real reason you're watching this video is because you don't want to be doomed to a life of mediocrity. You don't want to be average. You want to be above average. You want to be extraordinary. You want to build a life for yourself and your family that is in the top 0.001%. I know that's what you want, or else you wouldn't be following me in the first place. At the very least, you want to check that financial freedom box and be able to actually spend money like it's not some thing that you're holding on to because you have such a scarcity mindset. So I know I'm getting quite emotional when I talk about this, but it's because you need to hear it. You need to fucking hear this, because if you stay in your comfort zone and you never actually take a step outside, you never dip your toe in the cold water that is business or investing in yourself aggressively, you're never going to get the return that you want. The best way for you to accomplish the monstrous goals that you have set for yourself is to set it and then reverse engineer what you need to do today and the type of person that you need to be today. If you want to be, let's say you want to be retired at like, let's say a pretty young age, right? 35 years old. You want to be completely retired. You never have to work another day in your life by the time you're 35 because you have so many invested assets that are just paying you month after month and you can just cruise, right? You don't have to do anything. Let's say that's your goal. Knowing that that's your goal, what do you have to do today to be in alignment with that goal? Do you think it's not take risks? Do you think it's play on the safe side? Do you think it's stay in the comfort zone? Do you think it's not investing in a mentor, not investing in a business, not investing in yourself? Hell no. It's the exact opposite of all of those. And so the reality of the situation is your identity right now at a spiritual level. Let's get into like a little bit of the spiritual shit now. When you are looking at yourself at a spiritual level, let's say that this person, this guy, Frank right here, this is you. You are Frank, kind of skinny. Frank's got to hit the gym. And this is Frank 2.0. Like, this is Frank in 10 years. Not only is he rich, but he has huge muscles. Wow. This is Frank 2.0. This is like your most actualized, high consciousness, potential future self in 10 years. Frank 2.0. Jacked, got all the money in the world, retired. You can do whatever you want. You have that fuck you money. You're not just rich. You got fuck you money. So this is you right now, and this is you in 10 years. Frank 2.0, right? So the only difference between you right now and Frank 2.0 comes down to your mindset and the beliefs that you have about the world. So when it comes to the spiritual side of success, what I'm really talking about is energy and the level of vibration and level of consciousness that you're currently occupying right now in this moment. Because what you guys probably don't realize is that wealth and money have a vibration. And if you have a scarcity mindset, meaning when you make money, you want to save it, you want to hold on to it. And if that money left you for any reason, you would hate that. You'd hate to see that money go because you know it's really hard to get. All those beliefs that I just said are all limiting beliefs about money that so many of you have right now. And that means on a vibrational level, you are calibrating extremely low on the scale of consciousness. When in reality, if you want to get what Frank 2.0 has here, the reality of the situation is you need to match the higher level of vibration that Frank 2.0 here has. Right now, because of the scarcity mindset that you have, because of the feeling of loss, every time money leaves your bank account, every time you feel that feeling, every time you get that scary feeling in your stomach, every time you make a purchase, every time you fill up your tank of gas, that's all associated with a lower level of vibration, a lower level of consciousness. And you can't be Frank 2.0 unless you elevate that and you start operating out of not scarcity, but abundance. Do you ever know how the really successful people in life, specifically like financially successful, like the millionaires, they are so detached from money, super detached. They lose $100,000, their main mutual fund or the stock that they're investing in just dips like crazy. They lose $100,000. They don't even care. They're detached. They're detached on a spiritual level. Do you know why? It's because they have this belief that they know they're going to get that back. They know they can't get time back, but they do know that they can get money back. It's about abundance mindset rather than just having money. And ironically, a lot of times, if you were just to be handed $1 million, you're still going to have a lot of the same issues at a belief level, at a spiritual level, that are going to keep you broke. This is why so many people that win the lottery end up being broke within like 12 months of winning the lottery, because they still have all the underlying beliefs. Like, that's like the foundation of everything that you do. It's your beliefs, right? It's your beliefs and your identity. And by identity, I mean like your level of vibration, your level of consciousness, etc. And so if that is true, then just because you have money doesn't automatically mean that you have an abundance mindset. It just means you now have a scarcity mindset with money. I bet we all know somebody personally that truly embodies the abundance mindset, but they don't necessarily have a stupid amount of money. In the book Power versus Force, David Hawkins talks about the highest levels of consciousness that you can really achieve. In this book, at the top, at the very top, you have like the spiritual gurus, I'll call them, people like the Buddha, people like Jesus Christ. These were the people that were operating at the highest level of consciousness. Notice, these weren't like billionaires. They were just operating out of complete abundance, detachment, and love. Honestly, that's one of the highest levels that you can calibrate at is love. So the next concept that I want to introduce to you guys is a concept that completely transformed my life in so many ways. And I think this especially relates to men. So you don't succeed in life when you want to, you succeed when you have to. I'm gonna say that again. You don't succeed when you want to, you succeed when you have to. I'm a big believer in putting yourself in highly stressful and uncomfortable situations. And there's a big asterisk kind of next to that point. And that's because this doesn't work for everybody. I'm just telling you what worked for me. And if it works for me, then I think because, you attract what you are, I think it would work for a lot of you. And if you want to be successful and make money, a lot of you are putting yourself in a very, very comfortable environment. You have a safety net. Which means if you happen to not make it, if you happen to test this product, build this business, and it doesn't work out, that you have this safe option. And for me, I think the best entrepreneurs in history are the ones that fucking cut the safety net and they went all in. Because what you probably don't realize is that in the back of your mind, when you're starting a business and you have that idea that you have this safety net, if anything goes wrong, you'll be okay. You're not really going to be all in the way that I would. For example, I don't come from a wealthy family. I dropped out of college when I was running my business, and I had a string of a few months where my business was losing money every single month. My savings were getting depleted month after month after month. And guess what? I moved away from town. And I didn't have really any family around me. I had one family member. I moved to a city that I'd never lived in before. I knew nobody. I didn't have any friends there. All of this was purposeful. There's a reason that I did this. The reason why I did this is because when my business was losing money, I knew I had to figure it out. I had to find a solution no matter what. Do you know what would have happened if I didn't find a solution? I would have been evicted from my house and I would have become homeless. There was literally no safety net whatsoever. Nothing. You don't succeed when you want to, you succeed when you have to. And I know the type of person that I am. I do well under pressure. So I wanted to put myself with my back against a fucking wall where I had no other option but to succeed. There was no other option. It was either succeed or fucking be homeless. And to a lot of people, they think I'm fucking crazy. They think that sounds really extreme. And to be honest, I get where they're coming from. I really do. It's not for everybody. But that's the type of person that I want. I really, really believe that the amount of shit that you eat as an entrepreneur, like the amount of failure, quote unquote, because failure is fucking relative, the amount of failure that you go through on your entrepreneurial journey is going to be directly correlated to the level of success that you have. So if you're the type of person that has been trying this business thing, trying whether it's e-com, fucking services, I don't care, whatever it is that's your thing, and you've just been trying it, and you just get shit thrown in your face day after day after day. You just lose money day after day after day. If you're that type of person, just know that when you finally do hit it, it's going to be a fucking hockey stick. You're going to go exponential and all that failure will be worth it. That's also just how great stories are made. Nobody cares about the entrepreneur that had this nice little safety net and never took any real risks. He never really lived at his edge. Men should always live at their edge. You should live at your edge. And what that means is at the edge of your comfort zone. If you're always in this environment where you have a safety net and if things don't work out, it's just going to be okay, you're not living at your edge. You're not really pushing yourself. You're not really discovering anything new about yourself. To me, entrepreneurship, it's not just about making money. It's about being the best version of yourself and evolving to be the person that deep down that you can be. It's about chasing the actualized version of yourself, chasing your fucking potential. I think it goes so much deeper than just making a little bit of money. It's about being the best person out there and impacting as many people as you possibly can. And so this quote ties in to living at your edge. If you're not living at your edge, as a man, you're not really living to the potential that you could be. If you're always super safe and chilled in your comfort zone and your family will take care of you if anything happens bad. I'm not saying like if you have a if you have a good relationship with your family, that's a bad thing. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the fastest way to succeed, it's the dirty way. Don't get me wrong. It's not clean. It's not all pretty and beautiful on the outside. It's dirty. It's nasty. It's grimy, but it fucking works and it's fast. It's effective. You don't succeed when you want to. You succeed when you have to. When your back is against a wall and there's no other fucking option. That's really when you succeed. The most important thing to me, and the reason why I dropped out of college in the first place, was not because I just wanted to make a fuck ton of money, which I did, but that wasn't the reason. The real reason why I dropped out was because I wanted to be independent. I didn't want to depend on anybody for anything. I had a mentor growing up that told me this. He was like, Mark, as a man, your number one goal is to become independent. And all that means is that, like, at the time, for example, I was 18 years old, right? My mom was paying for my cell phone bill. I hated that. That got on my nerves so much. I was like, how can I be an independent man if I have my mom paying for my cell phone? So I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, no more. I'm paying. I'm making my own account. I'll figure it out. Goodbye. It seems like a very small thing, but me just doing that was like the first step in me becoming independent. And then I had to like make money on my own. I had to like buy my own car. I had to have my own insurance. And like step by step, I was getting closer and closer to becoming like that independent human. That's what freedom is to me, not being attached to anything. So when you get started in business and you open up your little Shopify store, you start testing products, or you open up an SMMA, whatever that is for you, I need you to realize something. And that is, let's say that this is your cute little business right here. Sorry, that was kind of passive aggressive. Your awesome business right here. I know it looks like a house, but it's a building. Your business right here is the direct reflection of everything that's going on inside of your brain. And so if you want to have a successful business, you have to first change the way that you think. How successful can your business really be if you have what I called earlier, that scarcity mindset? How successful could you really be with it? Honestly, if you're scared every time you spend money on something and you're attached to money, how successful do you think your business is going to be? I'll give you a little fucking clue. Not very successful. If every time that you make an investment in yourself, you think that you're never going to see that money again, even if it's something like buying a $10 book off of fucking Amazon, if you have to believe that you're never going to see that money again, how successful do you think the business is going to be? Now, I know this is hard because when you're starting out, at least most of you probably don't have a lot of money. And so for me, I had this problem where I was like, I get these spiritual laws, right? I'm reading the books. I get it. I totally understand it. You have to act as if you are actually a successful entrepreneur, start thinking, acting, etc. But I don't have the fucking money, okay? I can't just go and buy a first class flight to fucking Dubai like it's nothing, all right? I don't have the money. Like literally, I don't have the money in my bank account. And to those people that are thinking that, I 100% understand and empathize with you. That doesn't mean that you can't have these beliefs. Scarcity mindset, I know wealthy people that have a scarcity mindset. And I can tell you that they're probably not going to be wealthy for very long. I know rich people that have a scarcity mindset. You want to adopt an abundance mindset. Back to what I talked about earlier, the difference between scarcity and abundance is scarcity, you are detached. You're attached as fuck. Abundance, you're detached. So if you have a scarcity mindset, you're attached to money. Every single time you pull up your car to the gas station, you have this feeling in the pit of your stomach that's like, I really don't want to pay for gas right now. That's scarcity mindset. I hope you know. And those have been embedded in you from your family, from your friends, from media, and from your personal situation when you're growing up. It's not your fault that you're in this situation, but it is your fault if you stay in this situation. It's not your fault if you're born into a broke family. It is your fault if you stay broke for your whole life, because all these beliefs are fully up to you. So if you watch this live and nothing changes, you don't deserve to have money. You don't deserve to be wealthy or to be rich, because you can't even put in the simple work that it takes to change your beliefs. In life, we get exactly what we deserve. There's no coincidences. So if you don't have what you want, that means that you have not done anything to deserve it. And that starts at a spiritual level with changing your level of vibration, your level of consciousness to align with that reality that you actually want to create, of that wealthy man, that wealthy woman that's making all this money, that has a family, that's doing whatever the fuck he wants, whenever the fuck he wants. The reason that you're not, making the money you want to make, you're not as successful as you want to be, it's not always just because you're not doing the right things. There's also these spiritual laws that could be keeping you from actually making the money that you want to make. And if you don't put in the work now to change those beliefs, stop operating out of that scarcity mindset and transition into having that abundance mindset and having wealth attracted into you instead of being attached and being the type of person that is just worried, right? Every time that they spend money, ever going to be the person that you want to be. And if that sounds harsh, then good, because it's the truth. Yeah, by the way, if you guys want to join Brand Builders Academy, this is this e-commerce coaching program that I own with Alex Fedidov. If you want to apply to that and you're like working on building your dropshipping store, e-com, you just want some support, you want somebody to hold your hand through the whole process, then click the first link in the description and you can apply for that. All right, guys, have a great one. Peace.